Thank you, everyone, for joining me on another episode of Inside the Playbook with, and I'm your host, Harry Bugarin, here on Hbtv. Again, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome, and if you are a repeat viewer, I do appreciate your time. Do me that huge favor if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that little bell so you get alerts every time HBTV is on. So tonight's guest, I got a very special guest tonight, and thank you guys for tuning in. I got Coach Mr. William Gates, all the way from San Antonio, Texas. So without further ado, please help me welcome our guest tonight. Mr. Gates, how are you tonight? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. I can hear you. I can
Awesome,
hear you. Thanks for
awesome.
having me on.
Oh, thank you for joining us tonight. It's a real pleasure to have you on here. So do me a huge favor. I always ask this of my guests. If you can just do us that favor of give us your 30-second elevator speech of who William Gates is.
William Gates is one of the co-stars of the documentary Hoop Dreams, but I'm also a father of four. Been married for over 26 years. Been with my wife for 30 years.
Yes, sir.
Um, I am now a proud uh, grandfather of a little baby girl. Um, and I am at that stage in life where I'm just uh, feeling the blessings of watching my kids grow and get older. My daughter, she recently just got married, had a child, and my Will Jr. is my oldest boy, and he's graduated college and living life. And my second boy, Jalen, he's graduated college and living life. And I have a 17-year-old who's a
Mm.
senior this year that's going to be on his way to college. So I'm just in a good place in life and grateful to be, um, you know, still on this side of the earth to see uh, all the things that God has in store still.
Well, that's a blessings again. All the blessings to you. Congratulations on being a grandfather, and also
Yes.
congratulations on the anniversary and being with your wife for that long. That's testament of everything, you know. So, but again, thank you for joining us. And the reason why I got you on here, as we discussed, you've been a big inspiration, to millions out there, and it's to me, a lot of my friends as well, who were in that era of the early '90s with your documentary. So, and as you know, with this show, it's called Inside the Playbook. We're not, we don't really get into the X's and O's of stuff. Not too much. We kind of do, but more so on the elements that has helped you throughout your journey, throughout your life. So just really quick, I just want to step back all the way, kind of to the beginning of what started William Gates on his journey, and that was basketball, right? So, can you tell us a little bit, like, where were you a hooper at, and where did it all start for you, and how old were you when
Wow.
you when you finally said, you know what, I love this game, and I'm gonna start playing this basketball.
I think the game of basketball started for me in my neighborhood, Chicago, back home. Growing up in Cabrini, watching my older brothers play, really
Mm.
just wanting to be like them. I didn't understand the seriousness of the game, but I saw them out there playing, running up and down the court. So my earliest memories come when I was about 5. I remember getting that basketball, running up to the court and shooting the underhanded shots. I still have that vivid memory, but I think the moment I fell in love with the game
Mm-hmm.
was when I remember early morning, uh, I I got invited to go play in this. These had like these shootathon kind of things. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you win, then you go on to the next stage. So you had to hit like these different shots in a certain amount of time. And I had won it, and I think I made it all the way to like the championship round. And if you won the championship round, you get to go to the Bulls Stadium and play.
Oh,
And I remember after doing that, I went to the Bulls Stadium, and then it's called the Chicago Stadium at the time. And I saw that, I was like, wow, look at this. You mean they play basketball in here?
yeah,
So I think I fell in love with the idea of playing in that arena, probably more so than playing basketball,
yeah.
just playing in that arena more than anything.
That's great. That's great. So going through that, you're getting through that arena, and everything is chronicalized in the documentary. You know, everybody can go watch that. You guys can go Google it if you haven't already. Go ahead and go watch it. But the documentary takes us through 4 or 5 years of your life, yours and Mr. Arthur Agee as well. You know, you're going through. We see your experiences, and what was cool about that, and you know, for us and for myself, it was somebody that you know we can relate to. It was somebody that you know was going through this kind of the same struggles as we were here. It don't matter if you guys were in Chicago, New York, us here in LA. You know, we saw that and we felt it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We felt it, and so you know, going through that, I mean, shoots, I had ambitions to go into the NBA. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know, Asian kid 5'8" is you know won't really make it other than you know if you're a Jeremy Lin. But just watching that and seeing what was going through you guys' mind and seeing the experiences that you guys are going through, I knew a lot of the guys that I was able to hoop with and see and go through the process as well or try to get there, do that. So take us back. You know, you were going through those years of hoop dreams, but take us back to I guess your senior year in college. You're over there in Marquette, and I remember there was this one scene at the almost at the end of the documentary where I believe you're in your dorm room, and you had said, you know, to the camera, you you love playing basketball, but the love to extend it to get into that next level, that fire or that passion just wasn't there at that point. But tell us like what was going on during that time for yourself. What was going on?
I think at that particular time, I had come to the realization that um, I knew athletically and physically, and probably more physically, that my knees just couldn't handle the day to day grind of playing basketball on a level that it needed to even play professional basketball. So I had settled that thing in my heart and in my mind that Will Gates was going to be okay uh, with the idea, and I stress that with the idea of not playing. But uh, those that know me, and I think this is for anybody, you can say that on the surface, but underneath it, there's a pain that exists with that because you've committed so much of your life to this game, to the sport, to the elements, and to to basically try to convince myself that I was through with the game really was a lie. Uh, though I said those things, my heart, the passion just wouldn't stop burning. Even though physically I knew I couldn't do it, um, but I still tried to do it. I still tried to play. I still tried to, even if it wasn't on a professional level, I found myself in gyms and you know, playgrounds because it's just hard to turn away from it. Um, so, so yes, I said it, but the reality was my heart and my passion was it never faded. But I did have to come with grips and the reality that I was not going to be a professional basketball player. And to be honest with you, Harry, there's still I still live with that now. Like it's crazy as it is. I'm almost, I'm getting returned 49 this year, and when October hits, something begins to, it's like rubble up in my body because I know it's 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 preseason time. I know it's time to get back in shape and get ready to play a season. Those things still happen to me this very day.
And just going back, like I was saying, when I watched the movie, I watched the documentary, um, and I watched it twice in the theater that year when it came out. Um, Watching the scenes when you had your injury, and again, it was you guys were really relatable. I had the same injury myself in '93, and then again in '95 on the same. So
Wow.
when I was watching it, I was like, wow, so how is he going to get through this? How is he going to, what is the process he's going to be going through? And yeah, it was tough. Like you said, I wasn't at the level as you guys, but I did love the game. I had the passion for the game. I wanted to play. I wanted to run. And for myself, when I couldn't do all that, it literally made me feel like, man, my legs are just cut from me. I can't do this stuff. Went into depression. Went into some depression. I probably was I don't know, 165 when it happened. I blew up to like
Mm.
225. Just
Wow.
yeah, it was a time for me, and again, just like I said, watching you guys, that was a 3 hour documentary in the theater. It wasn't a short film or anything like that, but just watching that and really gravitating to that and what you guys are going through, especially your experiences with that, I was like, wow. So you say all that, you say you told yourself that, but deep down inside in your heart and you still had the fire, you still had the passion. How was it, what strategies did you have over that time? Because, and the reason why I'm going down this road is because there's a lot of players out there still who still can't come to grips with it.
Mhm.
Can't come to grips
Mhm.
of what, maybe it's time to hang up those sneakers and try to pivot and do something else. I mean, even for my time when I couldn't play, like I said, I went to that little depression. It was rough trying to navigate and say, okay, well, what else is going to happen with me? So just from your thoughts, top of your head, like what were some of the strategies that helped you help you navigate away from, I'm not going to pursue my dream. I'm not going to go play overseas. I'm just going to, be here, be physical the way I can.
Well, let me start with this. I completely agree with you. I think when you're at this stage and when you got to let the game go, it's almost like a a death period that you go to. I think we all go through a season of some type of depression. So I don't want anybody to ever get thinking that that. And I think this may be for every athlete when you let it go. It's almost like again that realization when you're a senior in high school and that's going to be the last time you put that uniform on, and
Mm-hmm.
there is a sense of you that you feel like that you're losing. So um, one of the things that as I was transitioning um, out of playing basketball competitively, um, you got to try to figure out how to find a focus someplace else. Um, One of the things that I was fortunate to have in place was I had my family there, so I could focus on my wife, I could focus on my
Mm-hmm.
daughter, I can focus on my son. I had other things and other elements in place. Now, I think even at the time, my wife knew that that void was still there, and I think that I don't know if as an athlete, if you had that hunger, that passion, that you ever lose that void. I even think if I would have made it and I would have had to retire, the void would have still been there. I think that's why you see a lot of guys that go into sportscasting or
Mm-hmm.
coaching or on some level, because there's always, I think sports always gives you an element that you didn't do enough when you had the time to do it. So you're always trying to not only reinvent yourself, but help the next generation accomplish more than what you did. So um, it's that death period, then it's that period of readjusting. And I don't know if there's anything in particular that we can do. I think you got to go through that grieving process to really find out what else you're made of.
Right, and great points that you bring that up, and thank you for that. Again, you guys are watching HBTV Inside the Playbook with my special guest tonight, Mr. William Gates. So you got into coaching as well, right? You got into
Yes,
coaching
sir.
as well. So were you able to coach your kids at any point during this whole journey, and where has coaching brought you?
I've actually coached all my kids, particularly through AAU. But I coached, as crazy as it is, man, I coached professional ball for quite a little bit. I used to coach an ABA team.
Okay.
Um, I, I did it because, again, that love was there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for my boys, it was a little bit different coaching them for AAU. Um, it, it, it gave me a sense to stay connected to the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gave me an opportunity to make sure that other coaches didn't steer them the wrong way. So
Yeah.
it's probably more selfish of me to want to coach them because I want to make sure that if college coaches came around or if they had opportunity to play collegiate basketball, that dad would be there, that they would have no other choice but to have to talk to me because not only am I their father, I'm their coach as well. So that kind of really worked out for me. But when I was coaching ABA, and people, probably still are surprised that the ABA still exists, but it does.
Mm.
When I was coaching those guys, man, I really, really love that because those guys were so hungry. Like I look
Mm.
at the ABA, like you got the NBA, you got overseas basketball, and I'm just giving it a pecking order. Then you kind of got like the G League. Um, then under that, you got the ABA. And I always feel like guys that played the ABA basketball really, really love the game. And man, it was such a joy to watch them grow and put them in positions to win and help them deal with strategies. And but it was greater than just helping them on the basketball floor, watching young men and even some older men
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to navigate working a regular job and playing ABA basketball. So they got their tent job, but then they still got a passion and a love for the game that they're going to come out, and play on the ABA court for very little money. So, man, it taught me patience, perseverance, and most importantly, it taught me, man, to respect uh, people's love and passion.
How you as far as playing, and I always ask this question as far as playing versus coaching, which one did you have the same love for both, or was one over the other type of thing? You know what I mean?
Man, if you're a player, you're a player. I love it. It's nothing like playing because, especially, and I'm just speaking from my perspective. I felt like I was really creative with the basketball, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt you know in control of my body even at a young age. I could manipulate my body in ways to do things that I wanted it to do. So uh, when I see young guys playing, I go like, man, when I was your age, I was doing A, B, C, and D. So it's definitely 100%. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy playing more than coaching. As a matter of fact, I never even thought I could be a coach, but my wife has always pushed it. She said, when you're in the gym, you just see guys, and I've seen you walk over to them and fix their shot on the dime, or
Yeah.
you straighten their shoulders out, or you correct their feet. She said, you really got to start coaching. So that's kind of how I got into coaching.
Always a great woman pushing us to do something. Ain't that right?
And she probably was just said, get out the house. That's probably what she really was saying.
Right, right. So going through your coaching experiences, you coach the pros, you coach probably high school and all that good stuff. Like any major differences, aside from the pay, but just any difference from your experiences at those different levels that you can compare and contrast to the other
Yeah,
experiences.
absolutely. I take it even before high school basketball. I coach my kids and in the local YMCA gyms,
Mm.
and I remember them just running up and down the court, man. And the love was to hit the backboard. That
Mm.
used to be like, whoa, I got the ball up to the backboard. When you think about that, it gives you such a perspective on how far these athletes, where they started, where they end up at. So as I watch the young kids go through grade school and enter in high school, You begin to see this pressure begin to get on them to have to perform all the time
Mm.
at a high level or a certain level, and when they can't do it, you see the disappointment in their face, and I'm recognizing more and more that young kids, the love of the game is being drained out of them,
Hmm.
and even the ones that get to play successful high school basketball and go on to play collegiate basketball and even to the pro level. What I don't see a lot is I don't see smiling. And it's funny because when I look at a guy like LeBron, he smiles and he runs up and down the court, but they chew him out for that. Oh, he's friendly with the other players, or it's like the game has evolved into this. If I ain't beating you up, then I ain't tough enough. If I ain't tripping you, I ain't tough enough. If I wanna team up with you, I'm soft. Or I mean,
Mm.
it's almost like the game has gotten away from being a sport and the competition of sport to something that has become a person's character. It's like when did the game of basketball decide what my character was as a
Mm.
person, as a human being? And I think that's the stages that I've seen it come to now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I haven't been in the basketball scene for quite some time now. I mean, I used to be an educator, used to be a high school coach, used to be a college coach myself. But just different timings in life. Had to go through different opportunities and different challenges that took me away from coaching and doing that stuff. So yeah, that's unfortunate that that's happening now in today's game. I just want to back up a little bit about something that you did mention as far in this conversation. You were talking about, you did become the coach of your kids. You wanted to have just a little bit of that control and help them navigate as far as the coaches of different opportunities for colleges and things like that. Now, when I mentioned that, some of the viewers and people that are going to watch this may say, LeVar Ball, right? And I'm not comparing you or saying that you are. My question is what do you suggest? What do you suggest for parents, who are having that opportunity with their kids, boys or girls? What road do you recommend they should take? I'm not saying that everybody should be an AAU coach and manage everything that their kid should do, but there's some parents out there like mine, for example. Like I was like, all right, mom, I'm going to my high school game. All right, have fun. You know what I mean? But like, what
Right.
what do you suggest? Parents should do. What should they get some type of education as far as the game, the expectations, what for themselves and also for their kids. You know what I mean? Like, what are the expectations for that? Just so that everybody's on the same page. I don't know if AAU programs or high school programs do invite the parents in to have like a little workshop like that. But just off the top of your head, you've gone through it. You've gone through the process for yourself and especially for your kids. What type of advice would you have for parents going through the same thing?
I think the first thing that I would tell parents is I know this might sound like a shot at them, but it's not a shot at them as more as I'm trying to help them, because I had to deal with it. At some point, you got to get over yourself
Mm.
and get out the way. You know, and my wife helped me with this. I remember the kids were playing, and man, I was just, I didn't know what kind of coach dad I was going to be. Was I going to be that yeller? Was I going to be
Mm.
that, you know, sit back and nod my head kind of,
Mm.
and and I found myself getting angry and upset at certain plays or things they didn't do and things we worked on, and to the point where I couldn't enjoy the game.
Mm.
And I remember after one game, my wife said, if you can't enjoy the show, you're gonna miss it. And man, it made me step back and look at myself and say, I'm not playing anymore.
Mm.
They're playing. I can't expect them to be me. I can't expect them to be the player that's on the team. I can assume that they understand it all or that they get it all. But And I also can expect that if they play well on Monday, that when Wednesday show up, they're going to have the same kind of game on Wednesday. Those are just false realities. So the thing that I would tell parents is check yourself at the door. I would also say let coaches coach. One of the things I always did with my kids' high school coaches was I met with them because I'm a parent, but I never went in there drawing plays up on the coach's board. I never went in there, telling them how to coach. Uh, I was always concerned about, hey, my kids got to earn their playing time. I have no issue with that. But I didn't want my kids to leave there for years feeling depressed because you chewed them out their character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on that. You ain't gonna beat them down and not play them.
Yeah.
If you ain't gonna play them, then just don't play them. I
Yeah.
get that. They gotta earn that. But you don't gotta chew a kid out and then not play them. And the other thing I would tell parents too is, you know, it's just the game.
Mm.
Let's stop beating referees up like we're paying them money to ref the game. These are guys that are making $5, $15, $20, you know, refereeing their fifth game doing
Yeah.
AAU. And at the same time, I mean, there's so many elements and so many angles to go on this. But if I had my biggest niche about parents and sports is simply this: it'll never be perfect.
Mm.
If it was, it wouldn't even be called a sport. One of the great elements about playing a sport is that it isn't perfect. It does you don't get it right. It's over and over and over, and you'll never perfect it. I used to tell my boys all the time, hey, go read the stats of pros. These are pros getting paid millions of dollars in shooting 30% from the field. I said,
Right.
you can watch baseball. You get a guy up there. If a guy is betting 300, they think he's an all-star. I said, you know what that means? That means out of 10 times, he only hit the ball three. you know? So I'm like, we got to put sports back into its rightful place, and where the sport itself is should never become bigger than the athlete that is playing it. And I think that's where sports has gotten off track at.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. For your advice with that and your recommendations for our parents. And you know, I believe you're right. I totally agree with you as well. So again, guys, you guys are watching HBTV Inside the Playbook with uh, my special guest tonight, Mr. William Gates. Where have you traveled, by the way, for AAU? Has it always been here in America, or have you had the opportunity to go like overseas or anything like that?
No, I always keep the kids here in the states.
Mm-hmm.
And reason being is too because as particularly when you have smaller kids, because I work with fifth and sixth graders, I always keep them local. Like you're never gonna see me at at the Vegas tournament or the Adidas tournament with fifth and sixth graders. That's just a waste of money, first of
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it's also just bad basketball too because
Mm-hmm.
these are kids. I would let them sleep in their own bed at night, have fun with their friends, get to know each other. At the same time, it's more about practice at that point, perfecting their art, perfecting their skill sets, helping them to understand the game of basketball. Um, and then you begin to travel. Even in terms of eighth grade, like I didn't put my boys really didn't even play AAU ball until they finished their freshman year of high school.
Hmm.
Um, because I always felt like I mean I've seen a lot of AAU basketball for the younger kids. It just doesn't look good basketball. And even I mean, and you've probably seen this too, freshman basketball.
Yeah.
It isn't great basketball. And the ones that are good, well, they're not playing freshman ball anyway. They're
Mm.
playing, you know, up anyway.
Yeah.
So my thing is this: I want the kids to have fun, enjoy the game, develop the love for the game. But if if the pressure is on them to have to perform at a certain level, they're gonna lose that passion. They're gonna
Mm.
either up quitting, not playing well, being frustrated all the time, or just playing out saying, you know what, I'm through with it. I don't want to play no sports. So I've always waited.
So, Mr. Gates, wanna transition off to your spiritual journey, right? So, I believe you became a minister at some
Yes.
point in your journey with this. Can you please tell us a little bit about that, how you got started with that, and what inspired you to go down that road?
Well, interesting enough, I've always been and into God and the spiritual things. As a matter of fact, growing up in the neighborhood, we used to have all these little programs. They were called Psycho, Young Life. Always had a Christian base to them. They taught the Christian faith, uh, even though many times we thought we was going there because they was after school snacks. But the the reality was they were just teaching us Christian values. How to
Mm.
share, how to be friends. How to get along. Uh, but as I continued to grow and uh, really, I guess I'll say it's probably about the year was maybe 2000. I knew at that point God was calling me into the
Mm.
ministry. Um, so I did the things that I need to do. You talk to all the people you need to talk to. You find the right school you need to go to.
Mm.
You do all the things that you need to do so that at, at at the particular time when God put me in ministry, I would be ready for it. And man, sure enough, that's what happened. So about 2003, um, I told my wife that I was being called back to my Chicago neighborhood, Cabrini, to preach, and um, and she was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah," and signed up, man. And before I knew it, God was connecting me with all the right people that I needed to connect to, and um, formed a partnership with Moody Church of Chicago. And one of the things that came out of that was, man, Living Faith Church was birthed out of that. And right there, smack in the middle of the neighborhood of the community that I grew up with, never thought in a million years that I would be going back home
Mm.
to Cabrini. And the reason I say that is because when you're a kid and you're coming out of communities like I came out of, the goal is not to go back. You're trying to
Mm.
get away from that. But I felt God called me back there to help restore, rebuild, and help folks, reconnect. And our ministry, a lot of it really was focused on men. And one of the things we focused on the men was because, I just give you an example. I had a guy who just got out of jail, but man, he had missed the last four presidential elections. So, he'd been in
Wow.
jail for 20 years.
Yeah.
So what we were doing was helping these guys who was coming back home to their families reconnect with their girlfriends, reconnect with their children, who probably was two at the time when they went into jail, and now they're
Wow.
they're teenagers, and helping them reestablish these relationships and grow all under a Christ umbrella.
And and how long were you in Cabrini when you came back to do the ministry there?
The ministry lasted there for about 10 years. Interesting enough, it was a twofold kind of ministry too. Not only were we reaching men to restore them to their families and help build the family back, but also Cabrini at that time was going through a gentrification
Hmm.
process. So we were also helping families relocate and find new church homes and new ministries to become a part of because the neighborhood known as Cabrini was really becoming no more. So and about in a 10-year span, we help many families transition and make new adjustments in life and relocate and find new places of worship to settle in with.
All right, so are you still in Cabrini, or you moved out of that neighborhood again and done doing your ministry somewhere else?
Well, well, this was in Chicago, so I'm in San Antonio now.
Okay.
So I'm still teaching. I'm not pastoring, but I'm
Hmm.
still teaching and preaching at a church called Higher Ground. uh, Christian church. So when called upon, I still preach, still teach. Um, but ministry is in my heart. It's kind of like basketball, man.
Yeah.
Every time I think I'm done with it, it 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 keeps rolling back into my life.
Now, when you say teachings, is this something that you have like a workshop or a class? Is this something that the viewers can tune into? Like how would they get that information, and how would they, if they were interested, how would they tune into
Oh,
your
I can
classes?
see. Well, right now it's all through Zoom, kind of like
Okay.
what we're doing right now. What I can do is I can send you the link for it. Um, that way, that because because of COVID, everybody's kind of doing the Zoom right now. But yeah, the church body we just meet on Zoom now, and we do it that way. But
That's
I can send you the link for that.
Yeah, that'll
Absolutely.
be awesome. I would love to put that into the description of the video once we're done with our video. That I'd love to check out one of your classes as well, or when you're teaching, and just sit there and listen myself. Um, I do love the hat and also the shirt that you have in the background. So all
So,
in that time that we first started, and now we're going through your journey. You also delved into being an entrepreneur as well, and tell us about hd22.com and what that's all about, and how did that come about actually.
well, it's interesting, man. I as crazy as this may sound, I never really did a whole lot with the hoop dreams thing itself. I always kind of just, I stayed shy of it. You notice that I didn't do a lot of interviews. I just really wasn't engaged on that level because I really wanted to commit my time and focus on my family. Like I was a guy that, you know, I, you work hard, you live hard. I've worked hard. I wanted to make sure that food was on the table. So I didn't have time to be chasing kind of fantasy dreams and things of that nature. But um, coming into this year, as we were celebrating 25 years, man, I really just feel like God had put it on my heart was like, hey, it's your time to, in a sense, kind of capitalize on Hoop Dreams itself. Um, and so I didn't know what I was going to call it, what I was going to do. Reached out some people. I hired a guy who gave me this crate. I love the HD with the 22 built in it, and that kind of just became it gave me a point to begin to pray on and think about, and of course the whole thing behind the HD 22 model is preparing for greatness. That's 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 the road we on, and I want people to know that not only are you preparing for greatness, but you should expect the exception. You shouldn't be surprised when you prepare, good things show up. So through the coding line, I want to continue to give that kind of information out there. Not only is there a clothing line, but I have hd22clothing.com, which is where there's a blog. I got my blog on there. Talks about what hoop dreams has meant to me the last 25 years. So it's really just reconnecting people with what hoop dreams has done and now where it is going. But the other aspect about HD 22 is that it's not just about hoop dreams too. It's also just about it's really a clothing line. So it's not just about for sports. There's hats, there's jackets. Um, when summer come around, there'll be shorts. It's more of an athletic, casual um, experience that I want to give people.
And it's great. Again, everybody watching, go visit the website. I'll put the description in there. I've already ordered my shirt, so my shirt's coming in. I also got one from HD Classic, which is the Mr. Arthur Agee's line, and I do. Mr. Gates got a couple people here in the chat. My wife says, God bless you for your ministry and service, Mr. Gates. And then my uncle Al, got to give him a shout out as well. He asked a question. He says, "Do you stay in touch with Mr. Arthur Agee still? And how's that going with you guys?"
Actually, we do stay in touch. We don't talk like how, because we're in two different states. But when we do talk, we pick up right where we left off at. Um, People need to recognize that Arthur and we will forever be tied to the hip. I mean, you can't mention one without the other because when he's talking, they say, "Hey, what's Will doing?" And when I'm talking, he's like, "Hey, what's Arthur doing?"
Yeah.
So I always tell people our relationship like this, we really balance each other out.
Mm,
Arthur's always trying to get my feet off the ground. Well, I'm always trying to keep Arthur's feet on the ground. So we really, when we connect, uh, we really like a release for each other where we can just get to be ourselves. And,
mm,
oftentimes people have said, that y'all know each other before the movie. Well, yeah, we did.
mm.
We used to hang out. Arthur used to spend the night over my house. A
Oh,
lot of
nice.
that stuff that's in the movie because we want to keep that between us and keep it genuine and keep it real. So you don't see any of that in the movie, but that's my guy for life. That's what we say HD for life.
That's great. And again, I'm like I said, man, I love what you guys are all about. I'm here to support. I'm getting your gear, and if everybody out there, go check out both websites. You guys are down with the HD theme. Hoop Dreams 22 and Mr. Hoop Dreams, Mr. Arthur AG. And if you're watching Mr. Arthur AG, good look out there for the fresh gear right here. So don't want to keep you too much longer, Mr. Gates. I do appreciate your time. Just with the little time we have left, just a couple more questions. But off the top of your head, I always ask my guests as well. Like, is there anything you would like to say to our guests or anybody that is trying to go that route, that still has that hoop dreams, or is just fueling that dream of having their hoop dreams of playing in the NBA? Any advice you would love to give our viewers, or anything off the top of your head, just little golden nuggets that may help these individuals with the pursuit of their dreams.
Absolutely. One of the first things I always tell those that are pursuing their dream, you got to pursue it as hard as you can. And what that means is, if this is what you want to do, the commitment level has to match the passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I should tell my boys, don't tell me that you want to work out at 5 a.m. in the morning and I got to wake you up.
Mm-hmm.
Let your passion match your desire.
Mm-hmm.
Let them connect with each other. And because when I start seeing that, you ain't gonna have to wake me up. I'll be up already. So it'll breed good stuff. The other thing that I would say that those that got a passion and really want to live out that dream, uh, you can't get discouraged by the first bump in the road or the second bump in the road or the third bump in the road or the
Mm-hmm.
fourth bump in the road or if the jump shot not falling or if you're making turnovers. You gotta find that place in you that play is over.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live in that past moment because there's so much ahead. And I kind of look at it this way. To me, it's like driving a car. You know, if you keep all your attention in the rearview mirror, you're gonna crash into what's in front of you. But if you just focus on what's in front of you, you use the rearview mirror just to peek back, remind you where you came from, help you help you fix what's broken. So, and then the third and final thing I would say for those that's pursuing the dream and want to go do it, ultimately is this: you got to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you need to get better at, that needs to become the focus and the attention. If you go in the gym and you're a good jump shot shooter and you shoot 50 jump shots, but you can't handle the basketball, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes.
If you can handle the ball and you can't shoot and you never go in the gym and shoot, all you're doing is dribbling drill. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes.
You gotta fix the thing that and people say, what your weak is at. No. Fix the things that need to be fixed. Because eventually, at some point, the jump shots are not going to fall,
Mm-hmm.
or the ball handling isn't going to fall. So you need to give everything the equal time and the same love and attention to.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gates. I got one more question here in the chat. It says, do you think you could have played in the NBA if you didn't have those knee injuries?
Absolutely. I actually had the opportunity to do it. When Jordan came back for his stint with the Wizards, I had got invited to play with him and help him prepare for that, and got invited to go out to the Wizards camp. Unfortunately for me, has always been
Mm-hmm.
my thing that I have to overcome in life. And the day before we were supposed to go, I broke my foot, so I kind of missed out on that opportunity. But
Yeah.
the great thing was, I had even I thought that was the end of it, but after the foot healed itself, I had an opportunity to go work out for the Chicago Bulls, and man, played extremely well. Even got invited onto the practice squad and stuff like that. But the day I got home, I had 105 degrees. I knew then God was calling me to the
Yeah.
ministry to do something different with my life. That basketball, was just not going to be the thing. So, but one of the things I did discover, and I always tell, even when I'm preaching, one of the things that I asked God when I decided to go back and try to fulfill the dream was, I said, God, I want to know if I was good enough to play. Well,
Mm-hmm.
God gave me that answer. I found out that I was good enough. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I tell people, make sure you pray for what you want. I should have asked God, Lord, let me play. And then that would have been different. But I said, I just wanted to know if I was good enough. And
Yeah.
so I found out that I was good enough, but my prayer should have been different. Lord, let me play. So
Right.
I learned a great deal and how to pray as well. So
Right, right. So, well, thank you for that, Mr. Gates, and thank you for your time. Usually, like this platform is apolitical and it's a like a non-religious platform. However, I'm a God-fearing man and I do believe in prayer. Just wanted to ask you if you can do us that honor, just to close us out with a prayer, if you don't mind.
absolutely be my honor. Let us pray. Lord, first we want to just pause and acknowledge you as the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, um, and recognize, Lord, your authority in our life. Um, Recognize that without your sacrifice, your uh, passion to love us, and not because we deserve it, because you are 100% that you didn't need us. And I recognize that, we recognize that, but that you wanted to share all of you with all of us. And so, Lord, we're thanking you right now for the opportunity of fellowship, relationships, family. We're thanking you, Lord, that even during this crazy time, this crazy season of presidential elections and COVID, and um, Lord, there's still elements out there that are heavy negatives in people's life, Lord, with job situations and homelessness, and winter is now approaching, Lord. Just pray, Lord, and ask that you keep a covering over those people, keep a covering over those families, Lord, that are going through these hard and difficult times. Lord, may our country, Lord, submit to your will, to your authority. And also, Lord, I want to thank you for my brother here, Lord, and his family. Keep them healthy, keep them strong. Lord, thank you for his commitment to this program, Lord, that I believe is relevant and that I believe is going to grow. So, Lord, we're asking that you give them everything that they need for this to be Lord, I know he doesn't call it, but it is a ministry. It is a ministry to help those, Lord, and get a word out there, and it grows people's belief that they can be greater, and do bigger and greater things in their lives. So, again, Lord, thank you for his commitment to uh, his program. Again, Lord, we are honored that you honor us. May we honor you back. Based on all this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Gates, thank you for
Yes,
that.
sir.
I do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. To finally get to meet you via Zoom, which is cool. That's cool enough for me. I do, welcome the opportunity one day to be able to shake your hand. When all this COVID is done, and
Absolutely.
if we do get that opportunity. But thank you, blessings to you and your family, to your kids, to your grandchild, and everything for you guys. Please be safe out there in San Antonio. And just have a blessed rest of your night and the rest of your week. So, thank you.
Uh,
You have a good night.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, my brother.
I'll
Be
see you.
blessed.
Thank you. Again, that was our special guest tonight, Mr. William Gates. It was a true honor to have him on the show. Just to have him on here and speak um, to us about his journey, about his ministry. It was great, very inspiring. So thanks again for joining me. Tune in again next Thursday night. We're gonna have another guest on Inside the Playbook with. So you guys have a good night and stay blessed.